My name is Bim, and I'm here to present a session titled Celebrating Diversity and Inclusion, Black History, Workplace Challenges, and Change. Before we go into the agenda, I need you to please bring out your phones, get your phones ready, because we'll be taking part in a lovely trivia. I would not be able to take questions at the end of this, during this session because of our time, so we would have to take questions at the end of the presentation. Just looking over our agenda for today, we'll be discussing a bit about myself, and we'll be looking at celebrating Black history. We'll be looking at Black history trivia, which is what I've mentioned. We'll be looking at the challenges that Black people face in the organizations and how we can all help to make the organization a better place. Now, a bit about myself. This is me. My name is Abimbola, and that means born into wealth. That is a repronunciation of my name. That there is a picture of myself. That's what I look like when I'm not working. Just a bit more about myself. I'm Nigerian. I was born in Nigeria. Nigeria is the country with the highest population of Black people in the world. That's a country of over 200 million Black people. I'm also an Arsenal fan. Do we have any Arsenal fans in the house? Sorry, come on, you Gunners. Away from the fun stuff around Arsenal, I was born in London many years ago. My mom and my dad used to live in London. They lived there for about 10, 15 years, worked so hard as a medical doctor, but couldn't get a headway. And so my parents had to go back to Nigeria to start from the scratch. It was a painful experience for them, but I must say here that my dad picked himself up again, walked through the medical line, and finished as a professor. And he has had so many successful surgeries and made his impact as an African that studied abroad and has worked abroad, and now is having to make his impact in Africa. So that has ended in a lovely story. I came back to the UK a few years ago for my master's at Robert Gordon University in data science. I'm currently a database administrator at Adatis in London. Now, that experience, the experience of my parents and my own experience has really shaped my thought about Black history, because I've had my own unique experiences in the UK and has impacted myself as an African living abroad and made me appreciate Black history. So this is not just about, what Black history is. It also makes me understand that, we all contribute to Black history. We need to look at what Black history is and the significance of Black history, what it means to all of us. So celebrating Black history, a lot of people use the word, we celebrate Black history. We're using this, it's quite trendy, but what exactly is Black history? And that is that sets the tone for our conversation today. Black history in itself is the combination of all the struggles, the challenges, but not just that, the achievements and the contributions of Black people to the British society or to the world at large. So we're not only looking at all the problems around oppression, around slavery, like things that have happened in the past, we're also looking forward and getting a sense of what the future holds around what we can do to celebrate diversity, inclusion, and equity in the workplace and in the society at large. A lot of us will say, now that we know what Black history is, what is the importance of Black history? Why? What is the why here? There are a few things that we will be looking at today just to deepen our conversation, and is the importance of Black history. So the first importance here is that it is for recognition and representation. We want to make sure that the Black people or people from Black communities that have contributed to inventions, to innovations are enshrined in history. We want to make sure that their names are not forgotten. We want to make sure that they do everything they can. We do everything we can to make sure that our matriarchs of movement and people that have fought for the liberation of Black people around the world will always be remembered. We want to also make sure that we do this for education and for awareness, which is one of the reasons why we're doing this today. We also want to make sure that we do it for inspiration, empowerment, and battling stereotypes and an inclusive society. Now that you've heard from me on who I am, you've heard from me about what Black history is and the importance of Black history, let's test your knowledge of Black history by taking part in the Black history trivia. Can I ask you to please get your phones out, scan the QR code on screen, and input a player name, and you can take part in the quiz. Now, this quiz is going to be correct answers. You're going to get marks for correct answers, but you're going to get more marks for the fastest correct answers. So the fastest fingers here would benefit from this. Right, so we are seeing so many people come through. We have 20 players here. Thank you all for joining. 22, 23, and I will start the questions. The QR code is always going to be on screen, and you can take part even as we go along. The first question for the trivia is on your screen now. So question 1 is, what are the 3 colors of the main Black history or Pan-African flag? You got 10 seconds. Right. Right. So we've got 3 people with the right answer. That is red, black, and green. The red that signifies the blood that unites people of African descent and that struggle for liberation. Black represents Black people's contribution to global history and the rich heritage. Green symbolizes Africa's fertile land, hope, and the future. Second question. So the second question is, what was last year's Black History Month theme? Right, so 2 people was correct there. The answer is celebrating our sisters. Celebrating our sisters was last year's theme, which offered a significant opportunity to acknowledge and celebrate outstanding achievements of Black women, focusing on honoring our matriarchs of movement and saluting our sisters who have frequently been neglected or forgotten. So that is saluting our sisters. Another question. Which country abolished slavery before the United States? United Kingdom, and you guessed it right. A lot of us did some guessing here, but you were correct. So United Kingdom here is correct. The United Kingdom abolished slavery within its empire with the Slavery Abolition Act of 1833, and that was before the United States in 1865. Which Black British actor played the character Finn in Disney's Star Wars sequel trilogy? 10 seconds. Yes, Star Wars people correct. 14 correct answers. John Boyega. John Adedayo Adegoyega, popularly known as John Boyega, is a British-Nigerian actor born in London, gained prominence in the Star Wars sequel trilogy, breaking barriers for Black representation in film. John used his platform to advocate for diversity, speaking against racism, and promoting teetotalism. Teetotalism, guys, is abstinence from alcoholic drinks. So please, if you see John, don't invite him to the pub because he's not going to have a drink. The next question. Who was the first Black British member of Parliament? Fourteen of us correct. Diana Bott. Diane was born in Paddington, London, to a British Jamaican family. She was the first Black woman elected in Parliament in 1987 and the longest serving Black member of Parliament. She is the founder of the Black Girl Initiative, which aims to raise educational achievement levels among Black female children. Next question. Died in London in 1881. Which Black nurse is known for saving the lives of many British soldiers in the 1856 Crimean War? Yes, I know some people would have gone Florence Nightingale, but it's Mary Seacole. So correct, we've got 13 correct answers there. Mary Seacole was born in Kingston, Jamaica in 1805. She was born to a Scottish officer and a Black businesswoman. She's a nurse who used herbal remedies to treat the sick and the wounded in military hospitals during the war. She's also a familiar figure at the war front, eulogized as the mother of the army alongside Florence Nightingale. So for the 3 people that said Florence Nightingale, Mary Seacole was there, right there at the war front, doing all the work, but not as recognized because she's black. And that's one of the reasons why we're presenting this today. Can you please give a round of applause for everybody that participated in this quiz? All right, we see one last question, guys. One last question. The question is, who was the first black queen of Britain? Bridgerton lovers, yes, I can see that. You're correct. That's Queen Charlotte. She's a German princess that descended from the Margarita de Castro Souza, a black branch of the Portuguese royal family. She was the Queen of Great Britain and Ireland as the wife of King George III. She's Britain's longest serving queen consort, serving for 57 years and 70 days. Wow, that's an outstanding achievement. Can we give a round of applause for all the prizes again? So that's the end of our quiz. We will see the winner of the quiz at the end of the session. Now, we've seen a plethora of all the great work that black people have done to our British society. So it means that black people have contributed a lot to history and are doing so much work in the world that we live today. When we think about the workplace, we think that there's a lot of black excellence as well in the workplace. So many black people doing great things in the workplace. But there are so many more black people that have not been able to reach the heights that they expect to reach in the workplace. And this is because of some challenges that are bewildering black people in the workplace. Let's have a look at some of these challenges, and then we'll close by looking at how we can all help to resolve the challenges. The first challenge is the challenge of code switching. So code switching basically is a situation where one of the biases where people have to change their mannerisms, the way they look, the way they talk, their accent, to be able to fit into the workplace or to be taken seriously. If you look at the screen, you'll see 4 people. You can tell that they are different people, different races, from different backgrounds, but one thing is common. 4 of them are holding the same mask. And that means that 4 of them from different backgrounds are trying to fit into the same box. And that limits, how they grow in the workplace and what they can do. Let's look at some of the examples quickly. The first example is that a black person may need to adjust the way they speak or their accent to increase their odds of getting work or being heard, which is racial stereotyping. In one of my last roles, I used to have a friend that was an Indian colleague. He walked up to me one day and said, Bim, I just came out of a meeting with one of my seniors and he felt like he didn't understand what I was saying. Do you hear what I speak? Do you understand the words that I'm saying? And I said, yes, I can hear you. You make so much sense. I can hear the English that you're speaking. I know that is not the natural accent from Britain or from wherever, but I can as well hear you and I can understand everything you're saying. What that means is that he's had some issues with code switching. He has found it very difficult to be able to advance in the organization. He has found it very difficult to be able to progress with his life because of his accent or because of the way he speaks. So there's that pressure on him to conform. If not, he would fall out. And that is a major problem that we see in the organization. The other part is that, natural hair for women in the organization, particularly women, black women have their own hairdo. They don't want to wear wigs or look a certain way. So they come with their natural hair, even though it's different from what everybody else has. But some people consider the natural hair that women have or black women have as out of place. And that is a challenge that we see in the society and in the workplace. Let's look at the second issue. The second challenge is workplace discrimination. I need not speak a lot about what discrimination is. We all know what discrimination is. But in the workplace, we find that, workplace discrimination is a big thing because it has an impact on the employees and it has an impact on damaging their physical and their mental health, and it can damage their careers. The first point here is that a black employee may be disciplined for being late to work, even though other employees are late without being questioned. So you find that that employee is being singled out, for treatment, whereas some investigation should be done as to the people that are late to work and now they are treated, but that doesn't happen. Single out the black person or the marginalized person and treat them as if they're not human, and that's a problem. The other point is that a black employee may be called racial slurs. Yeah, we do this a lot. We use the N word, we use the G word, we use all sorts of words. It can be considered trendy, or that I'm just joking with you, you're my guy, these things happen. But, these are elements of discrimination that should be against in the workplace. that brings about the point where, black people just start to wonder, is there a problem with being black? Is it something that, I should be doing that I'm not doing? Is it because of my color? And then that was something that was prevalent in the United States, particularly around racism. And that brought about this very famous quote from Martin Luther King, which is on screen. And that says that I have a dream that my 4 little children will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content on their character. So it should be about character and not because of their skin. The third challenge here is the challenge of microaggression. So far we've spoken about code switching. We've spoken about workplace discrimination. Let's look at microaggressions. A lot of us know what microaggressions are, but generally microaggressions are the little comments, the side talks, the side actions that we do. Sometimes we don't mean it for harm, but it has very, very big consequences on the lives of our people and how we relate to each other in the workplace. Let's look at some of the examples on the slide. You can see microaggressions can be related to can be assumptions related to negative intelligence and also criminal behavior. If you look at the second person slide, it says, you just don't understand. I've been there before. I'm trying to have a conversation with someone and the person says, Bim, you just don't understand. Claire will get it. Tom will get it. But Bim, you would not just understand. And that is negative assumptions related to intelligence. We will also see the one that says, that was not offensive, you are just being sensitive. Yeah? So you find a lot that people say, oh, Bim, you're just overreacting. We put everything on that overreaction and say, oh, Bim, you're just overreacting. That in itself is lines of microaggression, and it's something we should frown out in the workplace. Let's look at the last bit. So, as I said, we have microaggressions, which are negative assumptions related to intelligence. Let's look at negative assumptions related to criminal behavior. Let's look at this slide. So there's a lady that has a testimonial. It says, I work in a large office, and it so happened that one day, an envelope holding a fair amount of money was missing. The boss called me in private and requested that I confess to the crime, and he would not make it public. I denied taking the money, but everyone did not believe me. I felt bad and cried on the drive home. The money was later found. It happened that the envelope was missing. He forgot he had left it in his car, and he thought he filed it. He never apologized. If you think about all the other challenges that we've spoken about until now, you find everything in this slide. The issue of code switching, you find that it looks like it's somebody that's been singled out for some kind of treatment. You also see some lines of discrimination there because there was no investigation that was done. It was just that, hey, we know that you stole this money. You better confess or not, you'll be treated in a certain way. This is a problem because you find that people experience things like this, but in some organizations, they don't have ways to report things like this, and that has the probability to damage the employee's career or to never even want to work again in our life. Now, we've looked at the 3 challenges. Let's wrap up by looking at how we can all help. What can we do for these challenges, right? The first thing is educate yourselves on the experiences of Black employees and the challenges they face. So you know some of these challenges. We've seen some of the challenges here. Now you know. There's no reason for you not to act or not to use the knowledge that you have to help the other employees in the workplace. The second is to challenge your own biases and assumptions and be mindful of your actions. Microaggression is there. So be careful what you say. Don't think you're being trendy or don't think that you are, the person doesn't feel it in any way. Be careful what you say and how you speak and how to make the environment or the workplace a better place. As organizations, introduce strategies to bring people together in the workplace. Not just do that for who they are, but make sure that you are actual equal opportunity employers. I work for Adatis, and I can speak for my organization to say that they're actual equal opportunity employers. They don't only put it in their job posting, but they do it because that's who they are. And that is the world that we should live in. Finally, speak up when you have issues. When you experience some of these challenges, speak up. In the words of the British Transport Police, they say, this is a security message. If you see something that doesn't look right, speak up and we'll sort it. See it, say it, sorted. Now, finally, this is a picture that I thought that is really good. This is what the workplace should be like. You can see there's a Muslim, I'm sorry it's not showing like the best, but you can see at the back, there's a Muslim lady with the hijab, waving her hand and smiling. There are 2 Black people on this side, and it just shows that this is a very inclusive workplace. This is what we should aim for in how we develop our workplaces and how we go into life in general. Thank you very much for listening. Let's go to the last slide where we look at the leaderboard. These are the winners of our presentation, of our quiz. So we've got Tom Dickey. Tom Dickey, thank you so much. Do we have Tom Dickey in the house? A round of applause for Tom. Thank you so much, Tom. We have a gift for you, and I'll present the gift at the end of the presentation. So this is the end. Thank you so very much for listening. I'm sorry I couldn't take questions, but if you have questions, please send me an email or connect with me on LinkedIn with your questions. If you're online, if you're on site, please, I'll be at the door and we can address any questions. Finally, please, it's important for you to give me feedback. I appreciate your help and for coming, but please scan the QR and provide feedback because it's important for me as a speaker and it's important for SQL Bits. Thank you so very much and enjoy the rest of your day.